Hello, welcome to Joseph's Prosperity Strategy. Today I will be talking on the Joseph Anointing, God's Secret to Elevation. You know, there's a question I've carried for years, one that I believe many of us wrestle with, perhaps in the quiet moments when the world is still. It's this: why them? Why do some people seem to be divinely blessed, elevated to heights of influence and prosperity, while others, equally deserving, remain in the shadows? Have you ever felt that? That nagging sense that there's a secret, a missing piece to the puzzle of divine elevation? Today, we're not just exploring a concept, we're unlocking a profound truth that has shaped destinies for millennia. We're talking about the Joseph Anointing and why God, in His infinite wisdom, chooses to elevate certain individuals for a greater purpose. Get ready, because this isn't just theory, this is the very blueprint for your own potential elevation. Yesterday, I opened up about my own pit, that season where everything felt broken, where the dreams I once held seemed impossible. And as I walked through that darkness, I found myself repeatedly drawn to the story of Joseph. It wasn't just a Bible story, it became a mirror reflecting my own despair, and then, slowly, a window into a different possibility. Think about Joseph. A young man barely out of his teens with a coat of many colors and dreams from God Himself. He thought he was on top of the world. Then in an instant, betrayal. His own brothers, fueled by jealousy, threw him into a desolate pit. Can you imagine the suffocating darkness? The feeling of being abandoned by those who should have protected you? It's a pain that cuts to the bone. But Joseph didn't stay in the pit. He was pulled out only to be sold into slavery. From the pit to a slave market. Then, just as he started to rise in Potiphar's house, another betrayal, another unjust accusation, and he's thrown into prison. It's a story of relentless setbacks, right? Of every door slamming shut in his face. Yet here's the profound lesson, the first key to the Joseph Anointing. Joseph never stopped being excellent. Even in the pit, he didn't wallow. As a slave, he managed Potiphar's house with such integrity and skill that Potiphar put him in charge of everything. In prison, he served, he interpreted dreams, he brought order to chaos. He simply did the very best with what was in front of him, even when it felt utterly hopeless. He wasn't waiting for a title. He was embodying excellence wherever he was. And it was that excellence, that unwavering faithfulness, that eventually caught the eye of a king. This brings us to the very heart of the Joseph Anointing, articulated perfectly in Proverbs 22:29. Do you see a man skillful in his work? He will stand before kings. He will not stand before obscure men. Let that sink in. This isn't about being born into royalty. It's about skillfulness. It's about developing your craft, your talent, your calling, to such a level of excellence and diligence that you become indispensable. Joseph didn't lobby Pharaoh. He was brought before Pharaoh because his unique gift of interpretation, honed even in prison, was needed. He didn't just stand before kings, he became a second in command, entrusted with saving an entire nation. And here's the deeper truth: God doesn't elevate us just for our own comfort or ego. He elevates us for a purpose. Joseph wasn't made a prince to get revenge on his brothers or live a life of luxury. He was elevated so he could become a vessel of salvation, not only for Egypt, but for his own family, fulfilling a divine plan far greater than himself. His prosperity was a strategic tool in God's hands. So when we ask, why them, we must also ask, what were they doing to be skillful? And for what purpose was God preparing them? Now I want to share a modern-day story that, for me, brings the Joseph Anointing to life in a way few other examples can. It's a story about a man you know well, a man who epitomizes business acumen and prosperity in Africa, Aliko Dangote. He's a Christian, and his journey, while distinct, carries the unmistakable echo of Joseph's elevation. Years ago, a remarkable event occurred that speaks volumes about the principles we're discussing. Aliko Dangote was at an airport, poised to board his flight for an urgent business trip. Picture the scene. The clock is ticking, high-stakes decisions await. Yet, as he was preparing to depart, he encountered a revered man of God, a spiritual father in our nation, who was also at the airport, preparing to board a commercial flight. What Dangote did next wasn't just good manners, it was a profound act of honor. Without hesitation, despite his own demanding schedule and the cost involved, he canceled his private flight. He ensured that the man of God could use his seat, and Aliko Dangote himself quietly chose to take a later flight. Think about the humility in that moment. A man of his stature, with his schedule, making such a sacrifice for the sake of honor. This was not a calculated move for personal gain. This was a seed of deep reverence and spiritual understanding. And that man of God, touched by such a selfless act, laid hands on Aliko Dangote and prayed for him, specifically invoking an anointing for wealth and prosperity. And what happened next? The rest, as they say, is history. From that point, Dangote's business empire didn't just grow, it exploded. He became not just a successful businessman, but one of the wealthiest men on the continent, then in the world. His prosperity wasn't just a result of shrewd business. It was clearly marked by a divine acceleration, an anointing that was activated by an act of profound honor and skillful spiritual understanding. This wasn't magic. It was a testament to how God responds to a heart that honors Him and His anointed. So where does this leave you? Maybe you're in a pit right now, feeling unseen, undervalued. Perhaps you're striving for excellence, but wondering if it will ever lead anywhere. Remember Joseph. Remember Dangote. Your job isn't to demand elevation. Your job is to be skillful in your work, diligent in your craft, and profoundly honorable in your spirit, especially towards those God has placed in positions of spiritual authority. Do it as if you're working for the Lord Himself, because you are. Tomorrow, we're going to explore another powerful modern example, David Green of Hobby Lobby, and how his unwavering commitment to kingdom principles built a billion-dollar legacy. It will show you how to apply these truths in your own life, right where you are. Until then, remember, God elevates for a purpose. And your preparation, your diligence, and your profound honor are the keys to unlocking that Joseph anointing in your life. Don't miss it.